it is still the economic imperative that this is a direction we have to move. In order to get more happiness, we need to generate more wealth. This comes through increased energy use and will result in larger carbon dioxide emissions. This is a direction that countries seem to want to move in. So let's see if this is what's really happening. Again, we can go back to Gapminder and we can graph child mortality versus tons of carbon dioxide emissions per person per year. And we can expand this linear graph. Let's go all the way to where half of the children do not live past the age of 5. So we've expanded the axes so that the United States is at the top of the scale here with 19 tons of carbon dioxide per person per year. And some of the higher emitting Gulf states have been pushed off the axes. And we can actually, this is in 2007, and we can actually run this back in time to 1820 and watch the evolution as time progresses. Now, initially, we only have statistics for France and Austria. And Europe, you can see in general, keeps the statistics. So it's orange. And what we're seeing is, yes, we're moving in a direction of higher carbon emissions, but lower childhood mortality. Okay, this is India and China. And what we're seeing again is we move down and then over to 2008. And so yes, all these countries are moving down. They're moving over to the right. We again see that childhood mortality decreases with increased carbon dioxide emissions only until you get to a certain amount, and then it's flat. Again, we have the United States has a higher infant mortality than a lot of European countries and much poorer countries in the Americas. So now we can take a look at global carbon dioxide emissions per year and see how they've been growing. We understand why. And then we point out the Kyoto Protocol was when we first identified that we wanted to decrease emissions. And in 2005 we enacted it. So how's it been going since then? Well, in 2010 we had the highest, not only the highest emissions ever, but the highest increase in emissions. And it turns out that our emissions are rising faster than the worst case scenarios outlined by the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change in its 2007 report. Another publication interpreted this as positive because it suggests an improving economy. And so we can see how far from reaching an agreement we are, in that not only is the bulk of the world's population down here and wanting to be over here, but not only that, as a global community, we still interpret movement in this direction of higher carbon emissions as a positive direction for society to move. So this puts us in an awkward situation right here, looking at the bulk of humanity down producing on the order of a ton or less per person per year, not wanting them to increase their carbon dioxide emissions because it's catastrophic for the planet. Where here we are standing, emitting 20 times what the bulk of humanity is emitting down here. Is there some way we can work together so that we can get value from understanding how these people survive on very, very low emissions? And they can get value by understanding how some of our technologies can be used to improve their standard of living. So I call this the consumption happiness law, a law in that this is what we always see. But it doesn't have to be this way. For instance, with renewable energy, we can convert energy without carbon dioxide emissions. With increased efficiency, we can generate more wealth with less energy use. And with proper planning and sharing of resources, we can generate more public happiness with less wealth. So for instance, one of our partners is Working Villages International in Congo, where they have a community of 3,000 people that have lifted themselves from poverty. And we've been asked, hey, can we make cooking facilities for 10,000 people? Because we're growing and we're starting to deforest the area. So you say, wow, that's a lot of carbon dioxide, but maybe we could use solar cooking so we could generate heat to cook without carbon dioxide emissions. But this will require a lot of energy. Well, it will require less energy if we use insulation in order to cook more food with less energy, and also some thermal storage so we can cook well into the evening. And to the response that this will cost a lot of money for the insulation and thermal storage, we respond by building community cooking facilities. So we leave with two things. One, that for most of us, this is a myth that we need to increase our wealth, energy use, and carbon dioxide emissions for happiness, because this graph is so flat. And in the United States, most of us are past the point where it's flat. And the other part is, how can we work together with people, in particular in other countries, that are way down on this scale, where our technologies could mean a lot to them, and their ability to survive on very low resources could bring great insight for improvements in our life. A project we've begun toward this end is Guateca in San Pablo, a small village in the Guatemalan mountains on the Mexican border of Guatemala, where we have a joint field school, and students from the United States study together with students from Guatemala. And they study language, we study energy, and we study appropriate technologies that could potentially bring value to our lives with low environmental impact. So if you're interested, go check out our website. Thank you.